how 8 million crayons are made every single day. In the heart of Pennsylvania, millions of tiny, colorful icons are born every single day. They're simple tools, yet they unlock infinite worlds. For countless kids, they are their very first instrument of art, and for millions of adults, the scent of a freshly opened box is a key to unlocking a flood of memories. We're talking, of course, about the crayon. Get this. Crayola's main factory churns out around 12 million of these wax sticks every single day. That's enough to circle the globe 6 times a year. We all have that memory, right? Opening a new box of crayons and getting hit with that distinctive waxy aroma. A smell a Yale University study actually ranked as one of the top 20 most recognizable scents to American adults. But have you ever stopped to wonder how these iconic tools of creativity are actually made? Well, today we're going inside to find out. Section 1, The Heart of Color, a Legacy in Wax. Our story kicks off in Easton, Pennsylvania, a town that's been the undisputed capital of the crayon world for over a century. This is the home of Crayola, a name so linked with crayons that for most of us, they're one and the same. But the story didn't start with color, it began with industry. Back in 1885, cousins Edwin Binney and C. Harold Smith founded a company that made industrial pigments, the carbon black that made car tires more durable, and the red oxide pigments for barn paint. Their products were practical, gritty, and a far cry from the vibrant tools of imagination they would eventually create. Then, at the turn of the 20th century, their focus shifted. Binney and Smith spotted a growing need in the nation's classrooms for safe, affordable, and high-quality drawing supplies. The chalk they had was dusty and brittle, and colored pencils from Europe were expensive and often made with toxic materials. Edwin Binney, a man with a sharp mind for both chemistry and opportunity, knew they could do better. Working with his team, he developed a totally new kind of wax crayon. It was a breakthrough. By combining paraffin wax with non-toxic pigments, they created a crayon that was not only smooth and colorful, but also completely safe for kids. But what would they call it? The name came from Alice Binney, Edwin's wife and a former school teacher. She brilliantly mashed together the French word meaning chalk with E from oleaginous, referring to the oily wax. And just like that, the name Crayola was born. In 1903, the very first box of 8 Crayola crayons hit the market. For just a nickel, you got black, brown, blue, green, orange, red, violet, and yellow. It was an instant hit. From that humble box of 8, an empire of color began to grow, an empire that still starts with a simple, unassuming substance: wax. This factory isn't just any production plant. It's a direct descendant of the original mill where the company first started. While the company officially became Crayola LLC in 2007, its roots in this community run deep. Generations of families have worked here, passing down not just jobs, but a real sense of pride. In 1996, this very factory celebrated making its 100 billionth crayon, a milestone so special that the crayon was molded by the one and the only Mr. Rogers. It's a legacy built stick by colorful stick right here in Eastern Pennsylvania. So, what does it take to make a crayon? Well, every single one, from classic brick red to the wild razzle-dazzle rose, starts with the same core ingredient: Paraffin wax. The journey begins on the railroad tracks outside the factory, where massive, beast-like train cars pull up carrying thousands of gallons of wax in a solid, hardened state. To get it moving, steam is piped through coils inside the rail car, slowly melting the wax until it's a clear liquid, ready to be pumped into colossal heated silos. Each silo holds nearly 100,000 pounds of molten wax, a supply that this factory can burn through in just over a day. Paraffin wax is the perfect base for a crayon. It's a byproduct of petroleum refining, the same stuff you'd find in candles. It's stable, holds pigment perfectly, and glides smoothly onto paper. But pure wax on its own is too brittle. It would snap in an instant. To solve this, a special blend of strengthening agents is mixed into the molten wax. This gives the finished crayon the structural integrity it needs to stand up to the most enthusiastic little artist. It's the secret sauce that prevents the crayon from snapping under pressure, ensuring it can be used right down to the last colorful nub. With the base ready, it's time for the most important ingredient, the pigment. These intensely colored powders are the lifeblood of the crayon. They come from a variety of natural and man-made sources, the same families of pigments used in everything from fire truck paint to cosmetics. The pigments arrive in pre-measured bags, each holding the secret recipe for one of Crayola's more than 120 different colors. From day one, safety has been everything. In 1936, Binney and Smith helped found what is now the Art and Creative Materials Institute, an organization dedicated to ensuring art supplies are safe. Every pigment used today is rigorously tested and certified non-toxic, a promise that has been at the heart of the brand for over a century. These raw materials, the wax, the strengtheners, and the vibrant pigments are now ready to be brought together. Alright, from the giant storage silos, that hot liquid wax mixture gets pumped through a network of heated pipes to the mixing floor, the true heart of the factory. Here, the mix is poured into enormous heated kettles that look like giant stainless steel cauldrons. This is where the magic and the science really happens. Each kettle is assigned a specific color for the day. A factory worker who's part chemist and part chef follows a precise recipe, pouring a pre-measured bag of powdered pigment into the hot wax. The moment the powder hits the liquid is mesmerizing, as plumes of intense color blossom on the surface before a powerful blade pulls them down into a swirling vortex. The mixture is churned and blended until every last particle of pigment is perfectly distributed. It's a meticulous process. The temperature has to be just right, and the mixing time is exact to ensure a perfectly uniform color with no streaks or flecks. Nailing color consistency is one of the biggest challenges. A kid buying cerulean blue today expects it to be the same shade as the one from a box they got last year. To pull this off across billions of crayons, quality control is ruthless. A sample is taken from every single batch, cooled, and then used to draw on paper, where it's compared against a master standard. Sometimes a device called a spectrophotometer even measures the color electronically to make sure it's perfect. If a batch is even a tiny shade off, it's adjusted before moving on. This whole process repeats in kettles all across the floor, a bubbling symphony of color. In one corner, a deep burnt sienna is swirling. In another, a cheerful macaroni and cheese is being born. The air is thick with that uniquely warm, waxy scent of creativity. Once a batch is mixed, tested, and approved, the molten color is pumped through another set of pipes, heading toward the machine that will finally give it its iconic shape. With the color mixed and perfected, it's time to give that hot liquid wax its famous shape. The brilliantly colored liquid flows to the workhorse of the factory, the rotary molding machine. This incredible piece of engineering is where thousands of crayons come to life every few minutes. It's a massive circular table drilled with thousands of crayon-shaped molds. As the table rotates, injection nozzles shoot the molten wax into each of the 110 cavities in a mold plate. It's a continuous loop. Fill, cool, eject, repeat. As soon as one section is filled, the table turns, bringing an empty one into place while the filled section starts to cool. To become a solid crayon, the heat has to be removed quickly. Cold water is circulated through chambers right under the mold plates, drawing the heat out of the wax and solidifying it in about 4 to 7 minutes. As the wax cools, it shrinks just a little. This is actually a critical part of the process, as it helps the crayon pull away from the sides of the mold, making it easier to pop out. After a few minutes on the cooling table, the now solid crayons arrive at the ejection station. Any excess wax spilled on top is scraped off and sent right back to the kettles to be remelted. Nothing is wasted. Then comes the most satisfying part. A powerful hydraulic press pushes a set of pins up from below, and hundreds of perfect gleaming but still unlabeled crayons pop up in unison. A robotic arm sweeps across the plate, gathering the freshly made crayons and dropping them into a hopper. From this one machine, about 650 crayons are born every minute, a constant cascade of color, ready for the next step, getting dressed. The crayons that pop out of the mold are perfect, but they're still, naked. They need that iconic paper wrapper that does 3 things: adds strength, keeps hands clean, and proudly displays the color's name. Today, applying this label is a marvel of high-speed automation, but it wasn't always this way. In the early days, labeling was a painstaking manual job, often outsourced to local farming families around Easton. They'd pick up crates of crayons and stacks of labels and spend their evenings hand-rolling and gluing each one. It was a slow process that's a world away from today's lightning-fast factory. Now the unlabeled crayons are fed into a sophisticated labeling machine. They roll down individual channels toward the wrapping station, where a dab of non-toxic glue made from cornstarch and water is applied to a label. The machine then cuts the label, wraps it around the crayon not once but twice, and seals it. That double wrap is a signature feature that makes the crayon much more durable. The speed is just breathtaking. Hundreds of crayons are labeled every minute. And here's a fun fact. Even though Crayola makes over 120 standard colors, the factory only uses 13 different background colors for the printed labels. The specific name, like Inchworm or Purple Mountain's Majesty, is printed on the label, but the design falls into one of just 13 categories, which simplifies things enormously. Even with all this automation, quality control is constant. After labeling, a trained inspector stands by the line, their eyes scanning the river of crayons flowing past. With practice speed, they spot any defect, a broken tip, a crooked label, an imperfect shape. Any crayon that doesn't make the cut is pulled. But these rejects aren't trash. They're sent to have their labels removed so the wax can be remelted and reused. Absolutely nothing is wasted. The perfect crayons continue on, ready to be boxed up. Alright, we have millions of perfect labeled crayons. Now what? It's time for the final hustle, Boxing Day. This is where individual sticks of color become the curated sets that are a staple of birthdays and back-to-school shopping lists everywhere. The finished crayons travel by conveyor to a massive automated collating machine. They are sorted into lanes by color. If the line is packing the classic 24 count box, there are 24 lanes, each holding a different color. The machine is programmed to drop one crayon from each lane at the exact same time, forming a perfect set. Meanwhile, the iconic yellow and green boxes are being assembled from flat cardboard blanks. A machine grabs a blank, folds it into shape, and seals the bottom. The empty box moves along to the filling station where the collated set of 24 crayons is pushed inside. The process for larger boxes is even more complex. The famous 64 count box, which first debuted in 1958, was a game changer for kids. Its built-in sharpener, a feature actually added a few years after the box's debut, has been a delight for generations. Assembling these requires an extra step to insert the sharpener into the back of the box before it's filled. But how do they make sure no color gets left behind? Every single box is weighed to ensure it's complete. If a box is too light, it's automatically rejected from the line. After being filled and checked, the box tops are sealed shut. The finished boxes are then bundled, stacked onto pallets by robotic arms, and sent to a massive distribution center ready to be shipped to stores around the world. In a single day, this process will be repeated millions of times, ensuring a constant supply of these simple, powerful tools. You might not think eco-friendly when you think of a wax stick, but Crayola's commitment to sustainability is actually pretty impressive and dates back to the very beginning. The original factory, built in 1903 on the banks of the Bushkill Creek, was powered by the water itself. Today, that legacy has evolved. A significant portion of the crayons made in the US are produced with power from the sun. The company's Pennsylvania campus is home to a 25-acre solar farm with over 30,000 panels. This installation generates enough electricity to produce over 1 billion crayons every year. Thanks to investments like this, Crayola now offsets 100% of its US manufacturing with renewable energy. This focus goes beyond the power source. The cardboard used for crayon boxes is made from 100% recycled material, and the company is transitioning to natural, unbleached cardboard, reducing emissions from the bleaching process. And on the factory floor, no wax is ever wasted. Imperfect crayons and scrapings are all collected, remelted, and put right back into the system, creating a closed-loop process. Through its parent company, Hallmark, Crayola has also committed to the Science-Based Targets Initiative, a global effort to reduce carbon emissions. It's all about making sure the tools of creativity for the next generation are made in a way that helps protect their world. Section 8. Beyond the Basics, an ever-expanding box of ideas. The classic crayon is king, but don't think for a second that Crayola has been sitting back and relaxing for the last 100 years. The company has never stopped innovating. They develop jumbo crayons for toddlers and triangular crayons that won't roll off the desk. For parents, the invention of ultra-clean washable crayons was a godsend, offering the same vibrant colors in a formula that washes off skin, clothes, and even walls. The modern crayon line is also a dazzling display of special effects. There are glitter crayons that sparkle, metallic crayons that shimmer, and neon crayons that practically glow. There are even scented crayons that add a whole new sensory level to coloring. Crayola has also cleverly bridged the gap between the physical and digital worlds with augmented reality apps that bring a child's coloring page to life. A character colored on paper can appear as a 3D interactive character on a tablet screen. The company also knows its fans are passionate. They famously retire colors from time to time, and in 2017, the retirement of Dandelion caused a huge stir. In response to this passion, the company has even released limited edition retired colors packs, bringing back nostalgic favorites for a short time. This constant evolution ensures that the simple crayon in all its forms remains as relevant and magical today as it was in 1903. If you enjoyed this look behind the scenes, be sure to subscribe for more deep dives into how our world is made, and let us know in the comments what was your favorite crayon color. To conclusion. So the next time you see a box of crayons, you'll know the incredible journey it's been on. A journey that starts with a train car of molten wax, flows through a symphony of swirling color, and is forged in a high-speed dance of molding and boxing. The scale of it all is staggering. Daily production can top 13 million crayons, adding up to nearly 3 billion every year. But beyond the colossal numbers and the mesmerizing machines lies the simple, enduring power of the crayon itself. It's way more than just wax and pigment. It's a key to creativity, a symbol of childhood, and a tool that holds the promise of endless possibility. In every box, there isn't just a rainbow of color, but a universe of imagination waiting to be unleashed. How 8 million crayons are made every single day?